Dinner for Mom. Where the fuck have you been? Where's my fucking dinner? I stood in the hallway looking at the rolls of fat around my mother's neck. Did she get even fatter when I was at work? Is that possible? Her eyes were dark. They've been dark since the year I turned 9. I'm 26 now, still living with my mother in the disgusting filth called our apartment. I just came home from work, Mom. I'll make you something. You're over 20 minutes late, she said. Where have you been? You've been late a few days in a row now. Are you out there fucking sluts? Even though I stood a few meters away from her, I could smell her disgusting breath as she spoke. It smelled of rotten teeth, decaying enamel mixed with dog shit. I was so used to the smell of our apartment, my own smell, as everything rotten around me clinged to me like a magnet. I knew I was smelly too, but not like my mom. I usually brush my teeth before work, at least the teeth I had left after the horrendous night when I was 9, when my mother changed. Food now, she screamed, making the odor from her mouth even more pungent. I walked into the kitchen, over the piles of filth on the floor. The counter reeked of something, but the smells weren't significant. I couldn't point to any of them, a horrendous blend of decaying food and garbage. What would you like, Mom? I said, hearing the anxiousness in my voice, louder than I expected. Make me something tasty, honey. Her voice wasn't soft, not nice. Something hateful in every sentence she spoke. Mac cheese? Is that okay? She looked at me, her eyes dark, but the mentioning of her favorite made something in them shimmer. Yes, darling, I cooked. Heating the water, making it boil on the maggot-infested stove. I pushed the maggots aside so that I could put the carton on the counter. Opening the box of macaroni, not surprised by the small cockroaches scurrying away as the light from the light bulb above made them scared. I closed the lid and shook the box a few times to either make them run away or die. The water was boiling. I stirred the noodles, listening to her labored breathing in the doorway. You think I don't see the way you look at me? She said. Her voice was low, dangerous. You think I don't know you want to leave me here to rot? I didn't answer. The last time I answered wrong, she'd slammed my head into the wall until I spat teeth into the sink. She stepped closer, the floor creaking under her weight. I didn't have to look to know she had that carving knife in her hand. She always carried it now, as if daring me to look at her the wrong way. You'll never leave me, she hissed. A pungent smell made me turn my head back to the stove, but my hands were trembling. I spilled boiling water across my wrist, the skin blistering instantly. I bit down a scream, because if I screamed, she would enjoy it. And she did. That smile, the rolls of fat lifting around her wet mouth, was worse than the burn. She locked eyes with me and pressed the knife into her forearm and dragged, slow and steady, eyes locked on me. The fat parted like butter, blood pouring down to her wrist. She licked it, laughing, as if daring me to stop cooking. You see, she said, voice thick, you're mine. Always mine. Always mine. You'll feed me, clean me, love me, or I'll carve the truth into both of us. She kept dragging the knife down her arm, the gash opening wider, fat and muscle tearing. The sound was wet, sucking. The smell of hot iron mixed with the sour reek of her sweat. Don't stop stirring, she said, pointing the blade at me with a dripping hand. Dinner comes first. I stirred the pot, the steam burning my face, and for a moment I was 9 again. I could still hear my father shouting, his voice raw with desperation. He was leaving that night. I knew it. He knew it. But she knew it too. The fight ended in the kitchen. That's where everything ends in this apartment. The sound of metal against bone still rattles in my skull, the wet crunch followed by silence. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I just stood there while she panted over him, her hands red and dripping. She turned to me, her eyes already dark. You'll stay with me, honey. You'll always stay with me. That night, she made me sit at the table while the body cooled in the next room. She spoon-fed me mouthful after mouthful, pressing her bloodied fingers against my lips when I gagged. Eat, darling, she whispered. Eat for mommy. My burned skin stuck to the wooden spoon, and every turn of my wrist felt like fire. I stirred anyway because that's what she wanted. Blood dripped from her arm onto the linoleum. Thick drops fell between piles of trash. making tiny red puddles that soaked into paper, and wrappers already crawling with maggots. She shuffled closer, her breathing heavier, her body casting me in shadow. "Open your mouth," she whispered. I didn't. I couldn't. She slammed the knife into the wall beside my head, the blade vibrating against plaster. Then she shoved her bleeding arm against my face, smearing the hot blood across my lips and chin. I gagged, but she pressed harder until the taste of salt and rot filled my mouth. "Swallow it," she hissed, eyes gleaming. "Show me you love me." Her blood ran down my throat. The kitchen spun. My stomach heaved, but I swallowed, because if I didn't, she'd carve deeper. Maybe into me this time. She pulled back, laughing, and I saw the knife twitch in her grip. And that's when I realized she wasn't threatening to hurt me. Not anymore. She wanted me to do it for her. She staggered back toward her chair, leaving a trail of red and yellow on the floor. I kept stirring, my eyes fixed on the bubbling pot, praying she'd forget me. But she never forgets. "Bring it here," she croaked, her voice wet with spit and blood. I lifted the pot with my good hand, steam scalding my face as I carried it across the filth. I set it down on the crusted tray in front of her, the noodles sloshing, orange cheese clinging to the sides. She dipped her hands straight in, ignoring the spoon, ignoring the heat. Her fingers came back coated in slick noodles and powdered sauce, tangled with strands of her own blood. She shoved it into her mouth, chewing loud, her teeth clicking together, pink foam leaking down her chin. She moaned. "So tasty, honey. You always make it just the way I like. I wanted to run. God, I wanted to run. God, I wanted to run." But I stood frozen as she licked her fingers, then scooped another handful, this one still boiling hot. The skin on her palm blistered instantly, but she didn't flinch. She smiled, staring right at me, sauce and blood dripping down her chest. "You'll eat next," she said, from my hand, like family. I didn't hesitate. My hands reached for her fist, slick with blood and noodles, and I pressed my lips against it. The warmth, the iron, the filth that filled my mouth, and I swallowed. She laughed then, low and wet, leaning back in her chair as if she had won something I hadn't even realized I had lost. And in that moment, I knew I would kneel at her table for the rest of my life, tasting her, feeding her, obeying her forever, until nothing remained of me but what she allowed to exist.